welcome. Over the Top Podcast. It's your boy HD. Over the Top Podcast. This is a group of us that try to take on social issues and things that affect our community and try to make a difference through conversation. Thank you. I want to start off by thanking everybody for riding with us. We are getting bigger and bigger as we go. We are growing organic grassroots, I like to call them. But we are doing our thing, and you are supporting us. So I say continue to support us. Our Facebook page, continue to watch our content. We definitely don't take it lightly, and we do appreciate it. Tonight on the panel, there's a couple of us tonight. We got Q. How you doing there, buddy?
Great. And I'm kind of upset we didn't get to talk about the Congress being so out of touch. It's insane with the TikTok CEO. I guess we'll get to that next week.
Yeah, we'll get to that next week. I want to get all, that's an interesting topic. I want to get all the information before I come to the people. You never want to come to the people with half information. You want to be able to
people in Congress didn't come with all the information either.
About it. Huh?
People in Congress didn't come with all the information either.
That's true too. But let us give it a ring and see what happens. It may be another twist and turn in the story. We don't know yet. So let's sit on it a little bit another week. Hey, Toya, how you doing there?
I'm good. How are you? I missed y'all last week.
Oh yeah, you've been on hiatus. You've been in them streets, child. How things been going your way?
They've been good. I'm traveling, getting ready for that. It's Aries season. We get ready. We lit.
Y'all some interesting signs. Again, that's a different story for a different day. But I love all my Aries. Shout out especially to my lovely daughter who's an Aries and my lovely sister who's also an Aries. So shout out to the Aries. Bless y'all hearts. But anyway, as we continue, this month is National Women's Month, and we kind of continue to trend a little bit, but a little bit different. We are taking on the conversation of African Americans and the healthcare disparities. And I know Miss Toya did some research on this. So right after this clip, she gonna share with some of the things that she found.
When the Centers for Disease Control declared last week that racism is a serious public health threat in America, it acknowledged something that researchers have found for decades. On nearly every measure of health, African Americans are more prone to serious disease and premature death. The coronavirus pandemic has provided devastating evidence of this. Black Americans have died of COVID-19 at twice the rate of whites, and so far are being vaccinated at a dramatically lower rate. Poverty and unequal access to high-quality health care play a role in these disparities, but this is not a matter of genetics. Harvard researcher David Williams has spent his career showing what the CDC now recognizes. Racism itself can be a killer.
The story will continue in a moment.
Imagine a fully loaded jumbo jet with 220 passengers and crew taking off and crashing today. And the same thing happened every day next week and every day next month and every day for the rest of the year. That's exactly what is occurring when we say there are racial disparities in health in the United States. Over 200 Black people dying prematurely every single day.
In 2005, the Institute of Medicine, a non-profit, non-governmental organization that calls itself the National Academy of Medicine, NAM, released a report documenting the poverty in which Black people disproportionately live cannot account for the fact that Black people are sicker and have shorter lifespans than their white counterparts. NAM found that racial and ethnic minorities receive lower quality healthcare than white people, even when insurance, status, income, age, and severity of the condition are comparable. By lower quality health care, NAM meant the concrete inferior care that physicians give their Black patients. NAM reported that minority persons are less likely than white persons to be given appropriate cardiac care, to receive kidney dialysis or transplants, and to receive the best treatments for stroke, cancer, or AIDS. It concluded by describing an uncomfortable reality. Some people in the United States were more likely to die from cancer, heart disease, diabetes, simply because of their race or ethnicity, not just because of their lack of access to healthcare.
Wow, that is some good information, guys. I'm gonna start with you with this, Toya. What are some of the disparities? You know, some of the disparities has been going on since the slavery times. Why do you think that African Americans are treated so poorly in our American healthcare system?
It starts with the things that we deal with. We are more likely to die earlier than our white counterparts because of some of the healthcare issues that we have. We're at higher risk for heart disease, stroke, cancer, asthma, influenza, pneumonia, diabetes, HIV, AIDS, and that's according to the Minority Health Department. Also, because of the conditions we live in, a lot of African Americans that live in impoverished areas and places that are known as food deserts don't get a lot of quality food, and they are unlikely to be able to travel to places that have quality food. So I was watching something in Atlanta. There was a food desert in South Atlanta, and a nonprofit organization came in and opened up a grocery store. And not only did the grocery store help the community because it brought fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, it had a cafe inside of it. Like here, if you go to Harris Teeter's, there's always a Starbucks inside of Harris Teeter's or Publix or something like that. It also brought jobs to the neighborhood. So they hired people within the neighborhood. And that shows an increase in healthcare. In the clip, they talk about how in the late, I think it was the late 80s, that they did a coin toss in an impoverished neighborhood in a housing project. So if you got a certain coin toss, you either had to stay in the housing project or you got a voucher to move to a voucher community, a better community. And with that voucher, living in that community, those people who move to that community, their health, their quality of health and their quality of life rose. So because we have been, since slavery, used as guinea pigs for healthcare. You can talk about the Tuskegee experiment. You could talk about Miss Lax, whose cells are still being used for cancer research, even though they say they're not. You could talk about the Vietnam brothers who have been experimented on during the war after death. A lot of pineal glands were removed out of African-American soldiers, which secretes our melanin. So we've been used time and time again for experimentation. And so we're not looked at as a whole person. We're not even perceived to have the same pain levels as white counterparts. So when you go to the hospital and you say, they ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your pain level? And you say 10. And most times for me, if I go to the hospital, I'm at 100 or 12. So you say 10, but because you're Black, they're like, you just here probably to get some drugs or something like that. Doesn't matter.
Or you can tolerate that pain level because it's easy to tolerate.
That part.
Easy to tolerate. Quinn, get in. Go ahead, Toya.
Oh no, I'm saying it doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter how you look, how you dress, what type of insurance you have. It just matters the color of your skin.
What do you think about that, Quentin?
I'm not even gonna lie and say that I know a lot on this topic because I don't, and it's hard to find that much information on this topic that wasn't already said. So I'm not gonna go out there. I'm not gonna jump out the window and say something just for clicks.
Well, let me ask you this question then.
I had a point.
Okay, I'm
I
sorry.
didn't have one. What I will say is, like you said, like Antonio stated before, black people's bodies are different. All bodies are different, and each race of people have different bodies, and they all tolerate a different thing, senses differently. You know, some tolerate eating stuff differently. Our bodies digest things differently, and doctors, and majority of doctors are Caucasian. So like you said, what they may feel, oh, that's actually a 10. As someone who's black, they may say, oh, it's only like a 7 or 8. Maybe someone who's Hispanic, they may say, oh, it's only like a 6 or a 5. Maybe someone who's Asian, they may say it's a 12 or 10. I don't know how different races and ethnicities feel pain, but concerning in America, since it's the race goes Caucasian, black, and then everyone else, well then Caucasian, black, Hispanic, everyone else, of course we're gonna have the most like this, because one, our bodies are different, and a lot of Caucasians are doctors. Then two, there's a majority of Caucasian doctors who don't care.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. A lot of times, even when you look back over from coming out of slavery, we would even looked at as people. So a lot of our ancestors had to go to veterinarians, to animal hospitals to get their medication and to get there. So to come from, and I know this is why we talk about stereotype, because that's the roots. So to come from being treated, not even being a human in the healthcare, to come to the end go to now, to the end go to having been put in these impoverished communities where there is no healthcare, there is no good hospitals around, there is no good grocery stores around, there is no access to healthcare, there is no. Then it's a trust factor. I mean, just like Tori said, one of the things in our community we have is that lack of trust to go to the doctor, because you're gonna tell me the wrong thing. So I'll wait till it get really bad to the point where now it's untreatable.
That's the other thing I thought about saying, but at this topic, I do not want to victim blame someone, because a lot of people.
I don't think it's victim blame.
Specifically with the pregnancy thing, that's not victim blaming, but there are some people who will look at something. Maybe they may have a bump on their foot or bump somewhere on their body. They'll say, I'll rub something on it and go about my business. And then
we all did. You remember you did that. You did that when you was in high school and you broke your ankle plate. We think it was just a stress factor. Come to find out you had a broken ankle plate. And then you was being pre-diagnosed, but I don't want to get on the now. But those are some of the disparities.
That was the difference in pain tolerance. So I didn't feel that where my pain tolerance was. I said, okay, maybe it was just a sprain. That's different. People having different pain tolerances.
Okay. So since I've worked in the medical field before my cancer, years and years and years, there is no difference in our pain tolerance of what ethnicity you are. There's no difference. The difference is that like Hank said, that we're not treated the same. And I'm going to give you an example. African American women are 5 times more likely to die during childbirth than white women. Because what they say, and I'm going to use myself as an example. Before Zoe, I had 7 miscarriages and 2 stillborns. Well, Michaela lived for about 2 minutes. So when I went into labor with Michaela, my water broke at home. It was during an ice storm, so we had to call the ambulance. We already knew it was too early. We get to the hospital and they say she's not going to make it because there was nothing in there. She wasn't going to make it. So I had to deliver her because that's how far along I was. They couldn't just go in. So I delivered her. The next day, we're in the recovery section of labor and maternity. and I'm just bleeding profusely. And I don't want to get graphic, but yes. And so they say, the doctor came in, and this was a white doctor. My doctor had went on emergency leave, so he was not there. I was being seen by another doctor in the practice. I had seen this doctor a couple of times who was supposed to monitor me and make sure, everything, that I would not go into early labor, but I did. And it is what it is. It said it was normal. It'll stop after a while. So a couple of days go by. Not only am I bleeding, but there's, stuff coming out of me. I call, they bring me in. They say, oh, nothing's wrong with you. It's just, because you went into such early labor that you just, your body is just trying to catch up. So you're dealing with the loss of a child, and then your body's not doing right, and nobody's listening to you. I knew that something was wrong. 2 weeks, I walked around. 2 weeks, my doctor finally came back. They left placenta inside me, and I nearly bled to death. I ended up having to have a DNC. That's when they scrape everything outside of me, and a blood transfusion. If I had waited another day, I would have died.
Wow.
Not because if I was a white woman, then they would have had me in there right away running all types of tests, doing all types of other things. Not because I didn't have great insurance. I had great insurance. I had military insurance. So I had some of the best insurance in the world. I worked in the hospital. So I'm an educated Black woman. But because they didn't listen, because they think we're not ever telling the truth, because like I said, they think that we can tolerate pain. If it wasn't a statistic and it hadn't happened, because even after Zoe was born, 6 months later, through the grace of God, I got pregnant again. But even after she was born, I knew something was wrong again. And Serena Williams had the same problem. She knew something was wrong with her body, but they wouldn't listen to her. But I kept going back and I kept saying, okay, but this time my doctor listened to me. And I was admitted right away after having a baby because I had postpartum, which is really rare, preeclampsia, but it's something that African-American women get after birth. So my blood pressure went up. Again, if I didn't know my body, if I hadn't worked in the healthcare system for so long, I would have died because they're not giving us the treatment we deserve to get. There's a lot of women that die on that table after childbirth. And the statistics show that we are at a higher rate of dying during childbirth. We're at a higher rate of dying from heart attacks and cancer now because of the way that we're treated or not treated, just because of the color of our skin. And African-American men are basically what? Invisible. So you have to, African-American men are invisible. The data on them is invisible right now.
African-American men, what we have, and I'm gonna talk about me, and I think the playmaker done made his way into the room, so I'm gonna give him a few minutes to get situated before we jump on him a little bit. But I think one of the issue with our African-American men is the stereotype of I'll feel okay, the pain will go away, I can tolerate so much pain, or I can go through so much pain, or the doctor tell me, no, I scraped my knee, so I'm fine. But miss those warning signs. We don't show up until it's too late. Then we think we can fix the problem. I urge our men, especially our Black men, go to the doctor, go get checked out. Once you get checked out, but do your own research. I think a lot of times, what we do, and I know we get maltreatment. They know we need to find our Black doctors. There need to be a register enough for our Black doctors we can get our hands on. They can take care of us. Number one. Number two, we also got to, like you said, you got to stay on them. Trust your body. Your body telling you it's hurting. Go. Don't the doctor. Yes, I'm hurting. No, I'm not leaving your office until I get some treatment. Have an advocate for you. But so those are the things that I think will definitely benefit. Gary, how you doing there, sir?
You are muted.
I'm muted?
No,
No.
not you.
I'm good. How are you doing?
Great. How things going your way?
Good. Everything's good.
Thanks for joining us. So you jump on, I'm gonna go ahead and throw you on the hot seat. For centuries, our African American women have been poked and probed for the advancement of medicine. We are even some of the top doctors in the country, but we are still more likely to die on during childbirth. What do you think can really be done to stop the killing of our Black women in the healthcare system?
Well, I think Toya hit on a lot of the things, so some of this may be a little bit redundant, but in doing some of my research, I found that 7% of Black women don't seek treatment until their third trimester. And you have 3% that don't seek treatment prenatal treatment at all. So you're looking at 10% that are waiting really late in the game to even start preparing their body, to monitor their bodies, and to even lead up to a successful delivery. So I think that's one thing, is you have to start early. If you're pregnant, and the data that I have are just facts-based. It doesn't tell why people wait so late. It just says that there's basically 7% of women who wait to the third trimester, or 3% that don't wait at all. So we could speculate on why that's happening. Another thing is the hospitals that they're choosing. Some hospitals, unfortunately, all hospitals are not created equally. So when you dig into the data, some of the hospitals do not have either the specialists that are needed or the equipment that are needed to properly take care of our women who have certain conditions. And then also with that prenatal care, and I think I heard some of this talked about earlier, is that Black women have a higher risk of cardiovascular diseases. Some have a pre-existing condition, and when they are not getting the treatment ahead of time and they go through birth and things happen, if you're not in the right place with the right facility, the right care, then it just leads to potentially negative results. And then another thing that I saw that was very interesting is it talked about, and I heard this kind of on the tail end, when you talk about baby showers and stuff like that, you have everybody involved in the very beginning. But then when it comes to the end, once the woman really needs some of the support, she doesn't have the same type of support that she had in the beginning. Some of the studies I saw based off of the type of insurance that the lady has, she's forced to go back to work, and she's while she's at work, she's not going to the visits that she needs to be going to. In some cases, the type of insurance that she has does not cover those things. So they don't they don't seek help until the very last minute. And that also points back to some of the support. So it's a lot of different things. And I heard you mention the Serena Williams thing. And as another thing, even during the pregnancy, well, first, let's talk about the cost. If you don't have good insurance, the cost for a vaginal delivery can be anywhere between $8,000 to $12,000. If you're talking about a C-section, you're talking about $14,000 to $20,000. That's a lot of money if you don't have proper insurance. And then it's sad to say, if you have, all insurance is not the same. So if you got rinky-dink insurance, you may get rinky-dink.
Rinky-dink coverage, making the guy in the back. No, I don't mean to make light of it, but making the guy in the back with a pliers.
Yeah, so if you have Medicaid, you are not getting the same, and that's sad because it shouldn't be that way. There shouldn't be those disparities in between what type of insurance you have.
Yes. Exactly. I mean, you would think if you were insured and you think of a doctor is there to kind of just, you would not think that the money pays a part in a successful delivery or even postpartum support, but unfortunately it does. And even mention the Medicaid, sometimes they're cutting off support after 60 days. And
Right.
you have a lot of times after that point is where the woman needs support. And then when you throw in another branch that I don't think we need to go down too much is the unsafe abortion practices. That throws in a lot of that skews the number even more. So there's a lot of data. I mean, a lot of facts that I was kind of going through. It's hard for me to articulate because everybody has a different reasons. But the things that definitely set out to me was the 10% waiting so long to even get prenatal care. Women being forced to rush back, and then having inadequate health care or health insurance, all being, and hospitals. Unfortunately, some of the hospitals that are in our community don't have the latest and greatest technology, and sometimes don't have the latest and greatest experts in place to kind of help with certain types of situations. All these things, unfortunately, leads to a negative result. And
one thing you mentioned early, I know one
Okay.
thing you mentioned earlier is early detection. Quinn, I'm coming to you with this question. Just something maybe I know Quinn as your age group, and your in your mid-20s, health you young and vibrant, so you can get around us older folk. We got to pay a little more close attention to what we're doing and what we eating. But I'm gonna come with you with this question, man. As a young man, what are some of the steps that you can take now toward making sure that you don't fall into that black cycle, into this unhealthy cycle or unhealthy behavior? What are some of the things you can do? And do you have conversations with your peers about staying healthy and watch what you eat and certain things? Do that. I'm gonna go with you with that, Q.
No. The close conversation I have with friends is I have one friend who desperately needs to go to therapy and he still chooses not to. Besides that, no, not at all. And I think it comes down to, and I was thinking this while we were talking, this is a very depressing topic. And I, not like, you can see my face as we're going on. I'm not having fun with this conversation. So I don't like.
But it's a needed conversation, especially for
it's definitely needed.
Because
it's definitely needed.
The statistics also show that young African American men and women are dying a lot earlier because of these disparities. Because you say you don't have conversation. I just went to a baby shower. That's where I was last weekend in Maryland, and it was a group of they were in their 30s having their first baby, and it's like their whole crew just had their first baby. So a lot of more educated people. I didn't have my first child, not by choice, but until I was 38 years old, and my second at 6 months later, at 39. So a lot of more young people are waiting to start their families, but they're also having those conversations. Like in the room, I was so amazed that there was conversations about how to stay healthy and how to live, because they are having babies later in life. And as a late in life parent, I get it, but y'all are dying a lot earlier. And like you said, with your friend that needs to go to therapy, that's one reason y'all are dying, because of mental health issues. And that's kind of our generation's fault and our parents' generation's fault, because we put such a taboo on mental health. Like, if you just pray it away, it'll go away, or, just go to church and that'll fix your mental. Well, as my 10-year-old says, yeah, you can pray to Jesus, but you need to seek therapy too. God wants you to move in your prayers. And so as a 10-year-old can say that.
But Quinn, this affects you.
Here's what I want to wait on a second. So here's what I was saying. As far as Black people, there's one person in my actual friend group who I say, we only had that conversation, but she is about to have her second child. So occasionally at least I'll check and say, hey, how are you doing? How you doing? How's baby doing? and how's her first child doing? And then she'll go through what's going on and all that. But she's not Black, she's Hispanic, but her husband's Black. So that's also something to look into. So I do ask that. And my friend, he'll tell you. Every time we get into those conversations, I tell him, bro, you need to go to therapy. You need to talk to a professional. And I think he's going to eventually. I don't know what's going through his mind whenever we have that conversation. It's just me personally, I know, just like you're saying, life isn't that long. So I do not like spending life having very depressing conversation.
Well, it's not necessarily depressing conversation, but hold up. I'm gonna push back on you now. You said you working on your diet right now. You said you got to a certain weight you want to get on. That's part of being healthy, changing the way you eat, changing the food you eat, changing the activities you're doing, as far as exercise you're doing. So this do affect you, and you know the other week say I'm not gonna mention the weight, but you said that you had got under a certain weight, so you have maybe consciously or unconsciously.
I'm not mentioning it. I was over 300 pounds around COVID hit. I am now. Let me see. I had one in my pocket, about 295, and going down.
So why did you do that? Why did you do that though? Because you want to be healthy, right?
Right. It was mix of healthy and an actual just change, because I know I was eating a lot, and I know diabetes runs in my family. That's really the main thing.
That part. And high blood pressure deals with your weight, and your cholesterol deals with. So at your age, the fact that you're taking steps now, that's what the question was. Like, what steps are you taking now to prevent all of these ancestral curses that we have with our health in the future, so that you are able to, if you have children, if you want to have children, see your son or your daughter walk down an aisle or get married. Because the focus is being here for the babies, health-wise.
So you are fit. Either you may, I know certain conversations you don't want to have, but we definitely gotta have them. We definitely want to have to actually.
He wanted to say something.
Make our community better. Who's gonna say Q?
No, G wanted to say.
Go
ahead, go ahead. Y'all gonna throw a question your way, but go ahead and jump in.
Well, I just wanted to add just a real life situation that has occurred with me and a lot of my friends. As some of you know, Chadwick Boseman, after he had his health issue, they changed the guidance about colonoscopy from 50 to 45. Well, a lot of my friends are at that age that they're not 50, but they're past 45. So I went and I started having conversations. Hank, you and I had conversations, and I had a friend who said, hey, he didn't know about the change in the guidance. And so, I sent him the information. I had conversations with him, and he was like, I don't know what the big deal is. I don't know why people are jumping the gun to do it. So I stayed on him. I constantly brought it up. I brought it up in, it's one of my frat brothers, so I brought it up in our chat group. Even sent him a shirt telling him to go see the doctor, all this stuff. And a couple of weeks ago, he reached out to me. He's like, he finally had set up the appointment. He finally went through, and, everything was fine, but it was just the fact of, one, having the information, knowing that information changes, and then two, having people who are encouraging and supporting you to go and do what you needed to have done. It's one thing to know, because I was a little bit surprised that he was going to regularly visits with his doctors, and his doctor didn't mention anything to it. He is my age, so he's 40 plus, but the doctor should have said, hey, it is that time, based off the change in guidance. The doctor told me it was that time, and and then another thing is a lot of people are looking at alternative ways of getting that particular test done. You have the Cologuard versus the traditional way, and a lot of people are opting for the Cologuard thing because, you know, you can do it from home. You don't have to do all the cleansing, all this other kind of stuff. But there are data that shows that is not 100%. And then you have, outside of that not being 100%, they said that it gives you, it can give you false positive readings. So, you know, you also got to be smart about how you, the practices that you do to protect your health. But
let me stay with you this question. Why do you think our black men are so hesitant of going to the doctor or getting seen? Why do you think that's an issue?
Well, I think there's a lot of historical issues that kind of comes from. You can go, the easy route is to go about the mistreatment from historically when you talk about the experiments and stuff like that. Then you also have the economical piece, because at one time people were like, well, I didn't want to pay for to go see the doctor. They thought it was a cost associated with it. But with a lot of people now, you get it with your job. So when I talk to, I have a cousin who doesn't believe in going to the doctor. And I'm like, you pay insurance monthly.
Right.
They take it out of your check. Why not go and just get a screening? I have another cousin who's scared of needles. And I'm like, man, you 50 plus years old. How can you be scared of a needle? I mean, you know, and this is one of the cousins that I used to roughneck with. And I'm like, you know, a prick in the arm is nothing compared to the stuff we did as a kid. So right. I think it's different things for different people, but I think, you know, historically there's the distrust. I think there's the cost. People are like, well, I'm not going to either take time off of work to go to the doctor. I'm not going to spend the money for the copay, or I'm not going to even spend money to have insurance if I kind of work for myself and it's optional. I'm not even going to take to spend that money on buying insurance. I'm just going to keep it in my pocket and use other things for that money.
Tori, I'm gonna go with you. And your question will ask you. I know we kind of get a little off topic. Kind of want to kind of expand a little bit. What do you say to the young people, men and the men and women, that like quit and say where he don't feel this conversation more the praise. He see where it's going, but it's more of a drag on. It's not the livelier conversation we normally have. What do you say to them to kind of, you know, change their mindset to say, you know, yeah, it's a hard conversation, but it's a needed conversation? What do you say to them about that?
I have this conversation with young people all the time because my testimony is real. At 35, they said I wouldn't see 36. And for me, I guess it's different. I came into the world fighting. I am my mother's rainbow baby. I am a miracle baby. I came in here feet first, kicking the door, waving the 4-4 when they said she couldn't have any more babies. So I guess I've been a fighter all my life. But the thing is also that I at that time, I wasn't listening to my body. I'm epileptic, so I have seizures. It's just a thing that happened. I was having a lot more seizures. And one day got up, and for some reason that day, I didn't drive. I was like, oh no, I need you to drive me to work. I don't know, I think I was just tired. So from my house all the way out to the north side of Charlotte, I had a seizure that did not stop. And so my ex-husband rushed me to the hospital right there. And when I came to, they thought I had a stroke, but it wasn't a stroke. And they did a CAT scan and they said, oh, well, you need to see your neurologist. You know, we see something on the CAT scan, but it's not, you know, prevalent. And so I just went on and didn't think any of it. I went on. When I say I did not listen to my body, I did not listen to what the doctors in the ER said. I went back to work. The seizures got worse. I was just falling out anywhere. And usually I get an aura to tell me that I can sit down and be still and calm it down and fight it off. But no, it was just coming and coming. And so finally I said, all right, something's not. Let me go. So went to the doctor, to the neurologist. They did all this tests. 3/4 of my brain was covered with blood clots.
Oh, wow.
And so they said, okay, well, we just do some radiation treatment for that. Once they got rid of the blood clots, 3/4 of my brain was covered with tumors. And they said, all right, they did the biopsy, astrocytoma, brain cancer. And they was like, you're at stage 4. And we give you about 6 months. And I was like, the devil is a lie. I know you lying. I'm not ready to go yet. It's not my time. And so I didn't tell my parents. I had long dreads. And so we did the surgery. We did radiation and chemo. And I won that battle. But I had to learn how to walk, talk, clothe myself, drink, eat. Like sometimes when I would talk and I have an amazing village, it would come out backwards and they would just make fun of me. But if I hadn't stopped and said, okay, let me, figure out why I'm having so many seizures, I literally would be dead. And so when someone asks me my story, I tell them. Now, in the midst of going through that battle and losing all those babies, and them every time they tell me I can't do something, they, oh, you'll never have babies. Well, y'all done seen them 2 tall giants that come in and out sometimes. And then after Zora, the cancer came back as bone and joint cancer. And I have lupus, so that doesn't help anything either. I always tell young people, and I tell my older girls, make sure you're getting all the tests that you can get. The insurance is there for that. And I think, Earthquake said, I'm going to get everything. You're going to give me a pap smear. You're going to give me
from the rooter to the tutor, huh? We're going to check it all. Bumper to bumper.
You're being tested. Anything that you think is wrong in your body, make sure that you are looking into it, especially African-American men, because y'all are stubborn. Y'all are walk around like Quinn said, he walked around with a broken anklet plate. Because
now I will say this. I only walked around on it for like an hour and a half.
Oh.
But then you was in a boot practice, but still it was, but you didn't know it was. You didn't know it was.
Oh, okay. That was a few weeks. I was talking about my knee. My knee was an hour and a half. My ankle, that was 3 weeks.
Yeah,
right.
Because your threshold for pain and not knowing that something is wrong. But even if something is painful, even if, like G said, you have to have that prostate test. Because African-American men are high on prostate cancer. You have to have eye exams because glaucoma, and that can lead to telling you if you have diabetes or if your blood pressure is too high. And that pressure behind your eyes. I have a friend who is 51 and he went to state with us. He has to have cataract surgery in his left eye because he hasn't had an eye exam since he was 30 years old. Just cause, why?
Yeah.
Like y'all have to be so much better at taking
what's the important? Right. Yeah. What's the important? And I'm gonna cut you off, Tori. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
What? That look a little bit of positive. What's the importance of a tribe around you? What's the importance of having people around you that kind of keep you on your toes about getting your health screenings or going to the doctor? I had to get on. As a matter of fact, I had to get on you earlier this week by going to the doctor. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. What are some of the important parts of a tribe or having people around you to be that whistleblower for you?
Well, it's funny because I was thinking about this sermon that Bible study lesson that we had years ago, and it was called Blind Spots. And sometimes you don't see your own blind spots. So sometimes you could be caught up in your own world doing your own thing, and you don't even recognize that there is even a change in yourself. So, for example, I'll use the example that you mentioned a few minutes ago. I was talking to people, my colleagues, and people were like, man, you sound bad. And I was like, I sound like I got a little cold. But they're like, no, you sound bad. And it took one of my coworker who said a friend of her friend had died. You need to go check, you need to go to the doctor. I was like, wait a minute, my sounding
I want to cigarette commercials. Shot me to death. You're gonna die. You're supposed to pick the cigarette up. Wow. Okay, thank you.
And the funny thing about this was a couple of hours after you and I had talked, and you were like, hey man, you need to go get that checked out. And I was like, I'm good. If it keeps going, I'll get it checked out Monday. Remember I said I was gonna get it checked out Monday. But after having that conversation with her, I was like, you know what? It's not that I can't afford to go to urgent care and get some quick tests run. Let me go and even put the people around me, because even my coworkers are kind of looking at me side-eyed. I'm masked up and everybody's like, what do you got going on? So I went to the urgent care. They ran their tests, swabbed me for COVID, swabbed me for the flu, and everything turned out to be fine. But now I have some peace of mind. I know we could talk a little bit later how I feel about urgent care and their services.
That's a whole show right there.
Yeah. That's different.
And that goes back to what we were saying. So that was my very first time ever going to urgent care. But that goes back to what we were saying earlier on about when you're getting treatment, going to the right type of facilities, because they got me in and out, within my lunch break. And they didn't get
we got people. We ain't got to be here. Look, hear your aspirin. Go about your business.
There was nobody in there. It felt
That's
like
surprising that there was nobody in there.
It was probably the location. I was at work, so it was a certain demographic in that location.
Oh, okay.
It was like fast food health service. I thought I was going to be in there for a minute. They came in there and they took my vitals, swabbed my nose. The doctor came in, told me to take a couple of deep breaths, put the thing in my ear, and like, okay, you could go. And I'm still coughing.
That's crazy.
I'm still coughing. No medication, no recommendation.
Oh, because if it's just a virus, there's nothing you can do for it but go get you a medicine ball and put some Vicks on that chest.
Keep it pushed.
Even if they would have told me that, even if they would have gave me some old remedy like putting some onions in your socks, I would have been okay.
you would have rolled with that.
But they didn't give me nothing. They gave
you a bill. Oh, they gave you a bill.
No, you got that bill.
They billed you.
So, I asked about that on my way out. I was like, hey, do I get like because I like to know what's coming toward me. I don't like surprises in my mailbox. I like to know. And she was like, oh, let me look it up for you. She looked it up and like, we don't have anything. I was like, so does my insurance cover it? Is there a copay? She was like, well, their insurance company will send you something. It'll go to them first. They'll determine if or what they want to pay, and then you pay the rest. So I was like, okay. But sorry to get off on the tangent, but I just a couple of things I wanted to highlight in my response to that is that, it took someone like yourself and then one of my close coworkers to help me realize that even though I felt good, and even the end result was a positive result, somebody else noticed something different within me, and that was enough to make me go in and seek some services. So that's the first point. And the second point I wanted to make is, because I probably never go to urgent care again, but that's just me. Whatever you need to do, you do by all means. But the facilities that you go to get treatment are important. The doctors that you select to provide your services are important. If you think that you're being rushed in, you think your questions are not being answered, if you think that by any means that the doctor is not a good doctor or the facility is not a good facility, and you're paying your money, you have every right and ability to go to another place that will provide you with some better services and better attention.
Facts. Go Q.
So I was gonna say, me personally, I've never had a problem with urgent care. The only slight inconvenience was them saying I didn't have COVID, even though I couldn't smell or taste anything for a week. But whatever. Second, with black men needing to go to the doctor to get checked out, yes, they do. The only problem is with the black community and getting their prostate tested, because I am willing to bet there are some men who would rather get cancer than get their prostate checked.
Hey guys, it's not that bad, guys. It's not that bad. Take some veterans that been to the game. By the time you wake up, you don't know what happened. Now mentally, you still got to get over. Now I'm teasing, guys. Not that bad.
No,
I think it's worse. For women, certain women, when you have a certain conversation with your gynecologist, so you go through the same thing as if you are doing certain things, sexually, you go through the same thing as a man does with the prostate. But I think the colonoscopy is worse than getting a finger up my booty. I'm just
and I'm glad we're having this conversation. So now I know somebody who listens to the Over the Top podcast said them clowns are over the top. There's nothing they want to talk about here, buddy. But it's not that bad. So separate that down. For those guys who haven't had it, the worst part is the prep work. Because once you go in there and they put that gas on you, when you wake up, it's done. It's done. You don't know that. Now you may find some nurses that either gonna be smiling at you or they're gonna look at you funny when you wake up. But that's a little weird. But the only thing I remember, he said, roll over to the side, and I know I was done. So it's not that bad, Ness. What's your experience?
The prep is the worst part.
The prep is bad. The prep is horrible. Prep is horrible.
Boy, you better not go nowhere.
Prep is horrible.
You gotta have that.
But now when I heard about it now, they do it over like a 5-day span. So you gotta do a little. Anyway, it's not that bad. Not that bad. But I want to ask you. Go ahead, Ness. What's your experience?
Because you and I can kind of compare our experiences over the phone.
Right.
They gave you a week time to prep. They doubled up on me and gave me 24 hours to prep.
Yeah.
And that was a sleepless night. I was scared to go.
Boy, I had a week too. Gee, you ain't leave that.
24 hours. Yeah. And what kind of healthcare you got? You must got that Express. You must got that healthcare Express. What you rolling with?
And not to get too graphic, part of the prep that they gave me, they told me to take a certain number of X-Lax.
Right.
And I looked at the package, and it was exceeding the amount of the package. So I went back to the pharmacist, and I was like, hey, help me out here. I was told to do X amount. The package is telling me something different. Can you kind of explain this stuff to me? And she said, oh, what are you about to have? And I said, the procedure. And she said, yep, that's what you need. And I thought it was going to be a slow takeoff.
No, bro. That sucker cleansed you out.
Yeah, that is too.
So you didn't have to drink the stuff. In
addition to that, the liquid is basically to get all of the stuff out of your large intestines and stuff.
Yeah, the toxics and everything. It is cleaning you completely out. It is draining your body to where you think on the morning of that procedure, you think, I don't have no more to give.
You had a stress test. They straddled me out. By around Saturday, I wasn't eating nothing but broth. By Saturday, I was struggling. Anyway.
I had no diet restrictions. It was just a certain time before I started doing the prep. Now, that probably made it a little rougher because I had stuff that, probably should have been a little lighter to kind of flush out. But
I don't ever want to do it like that. I don't know. Do it
like get back on subject, Q. I'm gonna go into it this, even though they're like, what in the world these old people talking about? I didn't.
They got to. When I tell you, when y'all start going, and so I'm looking at Brooke Lopez highlights. Y'all started y'all went a different direction. I stayed in my lane.
Well, I'm gonna bring you back because you are Go ahead, Gary. Go ahead.
I just want to add, because one of the questions you gave toward to Toya, and she has her kind of testimony that she kind of uses to kind of educate people. But one of the things for me is you just kind of look at television and see, some of our college kids falling out. You see some of our actors who lives are cut short. And even if you go through your yearbook, you kind of say, oh, what happened to these people? You see a lot of people are dying prematurely. And a lot of that has to do with, bad health practices. So just kind of looking around, not necessarily all the people in your circle, but just looking at all the people that you may have had contact with that are in your certain demographic and seeing that, if you're not taking care of yourself, what could end up happening to you was enough to kind of make me be like, you know what, Gary, you need to kind of pay a little bit more attention to what you're eating, pay more attention to your exercise, pay more attention to your lifestyle in general, because you only get one shot at this. And then, I hate to see them, but if you ever watch some of these cigarette commercials, they talk about how they were smoking when they were younger.
And after I can't write a test to my daughter no more because you're smoking cigarettes. Come on, guys. Hey.
It may be a little bit dramatic, but I mean, when you really think about that, when you are in your golden years, how do you want your golden years to be? Do you want to be struggling because you didn't practice good health practices or good lifestyle practices earlier on? Or do you want to be, like some of these other people who are moving around and are able to be somewhat active because they took care of themselves when they were younger?
You had to brought the main point. That's what I was going with Quinn with Gary. So it's actually a very nice tie-in. I know, Quinn, you're in school and you're looking to go into coaching, for students. What is your opinion on how much food or what you eat affects your health in the long run? What's your views on that?
It's a couple things. First, it depends. All food depends on the person, because different people have different levels of metabolism. So there's someone who can eat everything and not gain any weight. There's someone who can eat a little and all of it goes to their thighs. So, and then you have to factor in race, because like African Americans are prone to higher blood pressure. I don't know who's more prone to diabetes. I can look at that later. And then you got what sports you're playing.
I'm talking more of the athlete. I know you can be working with young men and getting them in shape. I'm talking more of, what's the important thing to help care their bodies. Go ahead.
Then it depends on what sport you play and if you're trying to put on weight or take off weight. If you're a lineman or you're playing a sport where there's a lot of running, you do need to eat a lot because you're using a lot of energy. And when you do use a lot, and if you're not eating, if you're doing a diet but doing a lot of cardio where you need that energy from food, you're gonna pass out. So when you need things like protein, potassium, things like that, and you're not getting it, say if you're a vegetarian or vegan, you got to replace it with something, or it's not gonna your body's gonna shut down on you. It really depends on how your body reacts to food and what sport you play, and then what position you play in that sport.
Right. I think what you eating is you mentioned before, Toya, as far as food desert. For those who don't know, explain, going a little more, just touch on a little more on how in the Black communities we don't have the proper nutrients, the proper food, the proper things going on that we need. Well, what are your thoughts, or what are some of the things that we need in our community to make our healthcare more better for ourselves?
So in Charlotte, we had a lot of food deserts. Certain areas, of course, more impoverished areas of the city were food deserts. And I know maybe in 2017, 2015, around that time, there was a community garden that was started because of those food deserts. A food desert is some place where you might have grocery stores, you might have bodegas, and stores that don't always have healthy food. So corner stores, gas stations, things like that. And those are the only places that people can go and get food for their family because they don't have transportation. They don't have a way to get to a better community store. And I always say this, you know where you live if all you see is maybe a McDonald's, a Popeyes, and a Burger King.
That's
Over
right.
here, churches. Know what side of town you want.
Yeah.
But if you see a Chick-fil-A, Wendy's,
Fresh Garden or something.
stores like that. So in my neighborhood, we have 2 Harris Teeters within 3 miles of each other, Publix, a Whole Food within 7 miles, Aldi's, and Lidl's, all within a 5-mile radius of the neighborhood. Whereas, and if I go to the west side, now, depending on what side you're on, I will travel over there to go to a Compare Food, which has the most beautiful fruit. And these are the stores that they built on those areas so that it was no longer a food desert and giving people the opportunity to eat healthier. Building that garden gives people the opportunity to get fresh vegetables where they couldn't get fresh vegetables before. You have kids that only eat, because breakfast in school is free, so everybody gets a free breakfast, that only eat when they're in school. Mm-hmm. They get breakfast and lunch. And a lot of schools, and even though I live in a more high-end area, our school is all Black, brown, and red.
Right.
So Black, Hispanic, and Indian. And there's a lot of kids, and there's a few whites sprinkled in. We got our few that need meals.
Just a minority.
They are. They us though. They come to the cookout, but no. But not all those kids. Even though even if you're in a good area, not all those kids are getting good food. Some of them are bused to that school. Some of them, because they went to pre-K there, their parents like we went to pre-K there, and it wasn't our home school, but it's such a good school. I did a hardship for the girls to stay there. Right. Saying that they're used to the environment. It's closer. It was close to our house, but it just wasn't our zone school. But a lot of parents do that because it's such a good school. But a lot of those kids in that school are not eating full meals. So we do food drives throughout the year, especially around the holidays, so that families that are underprivileged can have food. That goes on a lot here in the city. Things like that can be done if we just get together and we say, here's the problem. What do we do to fix the problem? There's a need here. Let's fix the need. And there are a lot of organizations on every Saturday morning. Well, now it's just twice a month. We get up. So this morning we got up, we go to church. It's called the Bread of Life Ministry, and we feed the homeless.
Cool.
We cook, we do all that. We make hot meals. You can come into the church. A lot of the homeless can come into church. It's a place where they can relax, be in the warmth if it's cold, wash up in the bathrooms if they need to wash up, a safe place for them to be. But since COVID, what we're finding since we started back up is that a lot of people aren't coming. So we go up to what we call the Wall here in Charlotte, and it's uptown where all the homeless hang out, and we just pass out the meals. But things like that, it's always sororities or fraternities up there doing their food thing on Saturday mornings as well. So there's a lot of organizations that if we can all come together, we can probably find a problem, solve the problem of the food issue in our communities.
Cool. Gary, what are some of the other ways we can, that kind of turns a little more solution based as we kind of wrap it up for the end. So what are some of the ways that that you think that we as a community can improve our healthcare situation? And Quinn, I'm gonna go to you after Gary, so you get the same question. You get a little bit to think about.
You said how we can improve our.
What are some of the ways? What are some of the ways you feel that we can improve our healthcare experience in this country, and not just make it better? And again, not just on a simple systematic side, but even outside as individuals. What are some things we can do to make our system better?
Well, I mean, I think you see a lot of the things happening now. And that's starting with just having the conversation. You see a lot of churches, a lot of organizations doing like health screening, talking about health. I think the first thing is get back to having the conversations, not being scared to talk about health. One of the things that's kind of interesting is ED. You know, a lot of people are suffering with ED. A lot of people don't want to talk about ED. A lot of people are not getting treatment for ED. So therefore, their level of their life level of happiness is impacted. So it's a lot of things that we just don't talk about. So I think the first thing is being free and open to kind of talk with people, friends, to kind of say, hey man, you know, how's it going? And get past the surface and get deep into some of those things, and to encourage people to get the type of treatment, whether it is mental health treatment, which, you know, Quentin mentioned with one of his friends, or if it's just like, hey, you know, when's the last time you had a checkup? When's the last time you had a physical? When's the last time you've been to the doctor? You know, these are conversations that should be happening, you know, normally through our close relationships and friendships that sometimes I don't think take place, and we don't like to talk about it. So I think one of the easiest things is let's have the conversation and have serious conversations with our loved ones and friends.
UQ.
Is a mix of two things, and that were already said before, but it's as simple as trust your doctor, as in at least go to the doctor, but then trust your body as well. So trust your doctor to go, and then trust your body to say, okay, maybe I need to go again, or nah, this may be an overreaction. You gotta do both things. Sometimes it's not one or the other. Sometimes it's just do both.
Okay. A couple of things for me, and I do want to point out. And you guys hit on the head. Go to the doctor. Gary, you hit on the head. ED is a big thing for those gentlemen who taking blood pressure medication. If you don't want to take the pill the doctors prescribe for you, go look up some natural herbs and take some medication. I lost a dear friend of mine because of the fact that he didn't want to take his blood pressure medication because of it gave him an ED issue. If you're not going to take the medication, find a supplement that can take care of your body. That's number one, guys. Number two, take care of each other. Be the whistleblower. If you got your mother, your grandmother, your aunt go to the doctor, go with them. Be the whistleblower. I got a story of my sister. My sister had COVID, and there was the time where we couldn't go into the hospital, so she was in there by herself. When I tell you those nurses know me by name, by day 3, because nobody's in there but her. So it's 3 shifts in a day. So I need at least 3 reports out of the day. I'm gonna need 3 reports out of the day because she was bad off. So she wasn't necessarily on a ventilator, but she was close to it. But so her being in that way, by me being that whistleblower, the nurse, I might get on the nurse's nerve, but they know they better check on Miss Dawkins. Because if I don't check on Miss Dawkins, I know her brother gonna be calling me in about 15 minutes, and he gonna want some answers. Be that person for the people you love. That's my advice. Be that person for the people you love, guys. Toya, thank you for your research. Thank you for you got the last word over top, babe. you get the last word tonight.
Let your next move be your best move. How about that?
Good night, guys.
Good night.